So I guess we'll get started. Welcome everyone to the December ELearn call. We have Kevin Garrett from the National Quality Center and Nicole Mandel from UCSF Center for HIV Information presenting on some project management software. We'll be reviewing Glasscubes, Zoho and Basecamp. We decided we chose this topic because we were hearing that there was some projects and some groups who were having difficulty finding some ways to streamline sharing of information and sharing of files and managing tasks, so we thought this might be a good review. Couple of housekeeping tips. If you are dialing in, please mute your computer speakers so that we can avoid hearing echo. If you do have to step away or take another call, please do not place us on hold so that we do not hear your hold music. Rather, call us back if you can. Feel free to enter your questions and comments in the chat room. We'll do our best to field those to our presenters throughout the presentation, but then there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the session. Also, this webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to listen to the recording and read the transcript and have access to the presentation slides, which will be posted to our website after the call. Let's see. Our objectives today are to understand how the software programs that have been identified are being used or have been used by our presenters and how they're using them to communicate and collaborate with their colleagues and team members. We're going to discuss some of the pros and cons and review best practices for each of the programs and some more information on costs and where you can find additional resources for your program choices. Again, we have Kevin Garrett, who is with the National Quality Center. He's been there for about 10 years. He is also the project manager there, as well as Nicole Mandel is a project manager for many sites at the CHI. They are both very poised to discuss this topic today. As like I mentioned, they are managing several projects at once. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin to start the presentation.
Okay. Thanks, Judy. Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Garrett. I am the Senior Manager of the National Quality Center. And in a minute, I am going to share my screen with you guys so I can show you exactly, bear with me.
While the screen is coming up, okay. I just wanted to point out real quick, though, that in the chat box I have some links to some resources that you may want to tap into after the call. One is PC Magazine's Best Project Management Software of 2016, and the other is a Software Insider's Compare list of different project management tools. So you might want to copy and paste some of those links into your browser for later. Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
No, that's fine. Thank you. That gave me time to figure out which monitor was number 1 and number 2. Can you all see my monitor? It says AETC Demo Workspace?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good. So basically, Glasscubes is the second iteration of project management software that we use. We used to use something called ProjectSpace, but ProjectSpace decided that they didn't want to be in the project management software business anymore. They were very kind, though, in giving us like an 18-month notice, which gave us the opportunity to explore a lot of different options. And between Glasscubes mimicking the old ProjectSpace software and its price point, we went with this after some considerations of functionality and the fact that we would be opening this up to the Ryan White community, which means you guys too. We let any recipient, Ryan White recipient, add workspaces. As the site administrator, I put up the workspace, they name it, and then they are on their own. We provide them with training, as we would for you guys if you decide to use this. But basically what you're looking at now is a room that I set up specifically for this demo. If you look over on the left, you will see all the different workspaces which I am in, and as the site administrator, I'm in all of them. So I don't go into all of them, but I have access to all of them in case anything happens, or somebody needs to know how to move files around. I can help them with it. I'm going to kind of breeze through some of the functions that are not as used as the two, to me, most important ones. First is the options. That really is for the workspace owners. And when you invite somebody to a workspace, you decide whether they're going to be an owner, a contributor, or a reader. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But you can see here, there's checkoff for workspace functionality, and I can configure this room to have these different functions. And if I want to take one away, such as calendars, you won't see it across the top anymore.
Can you email?
And it's that simple.
Okay.
I'm just going to add it back for the sake of the demo. But on this page here, what you can see is I can post something. If I wanted to send this to selected members, I could. I'm the only one in this room, but if there were other people in this room, you would see their names there, and I could pick and choose who I wanted to send this to. Or I can hit all members, and it would be sent to them. There's a little bit more of an advanced editor as well, which looks like that. It might be something some of you are familiar with from much earlier versions of Word or different editing, primitive editing software. If I want to post this, I just click Post, and you'll see the message that appears there. The other thing that I did, just so you can get an idea of it, I set up a very simple poll. You can see at the top, it says Poll. Once I click in there, I can take the poll and I can vote, and it'll register. So if you're doing some kind of online survey or something, for whatever, if you're just in a room like this and you're in Glasscubes and you're editing a document or you're trying to make a project decision, you can literally put up a poll and vote right on the fly. Good. Okay. So just back to options one more time. You can see here, Workspace Welcome Header. I don't know if you guys noticed this or not on the summary page, but it said Welcome to the Room. You just type that in, and you hit Save, and you're fine. Members, very simply, it's going to give you a list of all the members in the room. And I apologize. The New York State Department of Health's network architecture was designed somewhere around the 15th century by King William of Britain, and is a little slow at times. So if I lag, it's just because I'm competing for bandwidth. In members, this is where you would add someone. So once I set up the workspace, I had two options presented to me. I could just set the workspace up, or I could set it up and give someone access to the workspace. I just set it up because I wanted to show you how easy it is to add somebody. So if I wanted to add somebody that's in the room already, I can do that just by finding their name, choosing it, and then putting them in. I can assign their roles. As you can see here, a workspace owner can do everything. They can add and subtract members. They can set the room up under the Options tab. A contributor can add and remove content, which would be tasks and calendar entries and files. A can comment role can read and comment on different things. They really can't upload or do anything like that. They certainly can't set the room up or anything. And the read-only cannot comment on anything. Basically, you just get to read something, and that's it. If I want to make the invite personal, I do it from here. And then I just click Add. the name or names of the people that I invite will get an email stating that you've been invited to this space. Please fill out this simple profile, and you'll have access now to the AETC demo workspace. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the calendar function simply because we've not had 100% success with it, number one. And number two, the big thing for me with this is that it doesn't link to Outlook. So personally, I don't like the idea of keeping multiple calendars. Other people have kind of made the same comment. It really is kind of cumbersome, I think, once you're even doing a project that's fairly intense and has a number of different tasks. You really want to be able to set up meetings and stuff and make sure people have it in their work calendars that they use on a minute-by-minute basis. So it's there. You can use it. I don't recommend it. So I'm going to spend a little time on tasks simply because it's kind of a neat feature. It has two different views. This is the to-do view. The first task that I assigned was to buy groceries. And this is simple dinner preparation. I figured most people eat, so what the heck, might as well use that. Go out, buy groceries. I could be at the store now, so it's in progress, and I can mark it as such. If I haven't started yet, I haven't gone to the store yet, that's not started. Once I get home from the store, I've completed the task. I'm going to leave it at in progress. I can add this. I added this label if I want to expand upon it or whatever. There's a time tracking feature which is kind of neat. I'm going to say that this is 2 hours. And if you notice up here, it's got a little stopwatch. And I can start it maybe as I head out. And it starts to count down. Now, I don't know if you'd ever use that, but it's kind of nice to know that it's there. And as you can see, there's another note that I put here before. Don't forget the coupons. I can delete this. It'll add this once I'm finished. And the task took me 1 second, which is not good. It took me 24 seconds. It should say that, but you get the idea. So you can estimate hours and things like this. I don't think you'll ever get down to it to that level of granularity, but it's nice to know it's there. You can also have followers. If there were other people in this workspace, they can follow this task. So let's say 3 other people are going to be very interested in me buying groceries. Their names would appear there. And I can also put all members if I like, and then save it. Like I said, it's basically pretty powerful. It is meant to be a true project. Oh, you know what? Let me go back to this for a second. Sorry. And what I'm going to do is make some of these tasks completed and then some in here and show you in the list view. You can see down here in this run chart, there's, you can't really tell, I can't tell on my computer, but it's the last entry here. It looks like there's a little kind of pumpkin-colored dot there. That's the completed task. And then the overall task is here. That you really have to get into and set up. And again, this is, I think it's way overboard for 99% of the applications that we have in here. Files is probably where 95% of the usage occurs in Glasscubes. I already set up a folder, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up a new folder. I name it, I save it, it's there. If I want to make, excuse me, a subfolder under today's folder, I name it, I save it, and there it is. So I'm another level down. And you can use the breadcrumb trail here. You see where it says folders and then the double caret and then AETC demo workspace and today's demos. I can't click on today's demos because that's where I am, but I can click on AETC demo. It backs me up one. If there was subfolders within today's folder, then, I'm sorry, if there were subfolders within, come on, there we go. Today's subfolder can also have a folder, and that folder can have a folder, et cetera, et cetera. The reason why you would do something like that is because you're actually able to protect who sees the documents that you put in that folder down to the user level. So, for instance, if I want to add something to this, I'm now in today's subfolder, which I spelled wrong. I want to upload a file. So what I'm going to do, in this case, I'm going to just, let's see. Okay. I'm going to pick an agenda for a meeting that we're having in Brooklyn. And I'm going to pick a file, a script actually for a tutorial I'm writing. So I can add more files if I want to, or I'm done. And, oops, there you go. It added the files on their own. If I click more files, it'll open up the window that I accidentally opened up. I can add this, and I can say OK and open, and it'll add it. It's a bigger file, so it'll take a little more time. But there it is, and now I'm done. I can also select Share, and I can pick who I want to share this file with when I upload it. If I want all Workspace members, which is me in this case. But again, if there was a list of names, I would just choose who in this list of names I want to see this file. Now this is going to send it to me in my email. So now if I want to go to this script, let's say, I'll click on it, and I can see it. I can edit it, or I can download it for edit. But if I want to download to edit, excuse me, it'll lock the file, and it will let everybody know that this file is locked so that they'll know who's working on it, which is me, and they'll know that I'm editing it. And then I can send it back to the site, and it will track the versions. Again, if I want to share it, I can share it from here too. There's some nice little features over here. You can see that it says view version 1. If there were 3 or 4 versions, it would have those. If I want to delete the file, obviously I can do that. If I want to upload a new version, I would do that. Approvals and acceptance, basically, they're similar. I mean, there's going to be a group of people, let's say, that would approve a document. If you want to know who accepts the document within the group, you can also do that as well. It's kind of a nuanced thing, but I think it's a nice little feature for folks that really get into the full scope and project management aspects of this. And again, if I want to add people to follow this, I can select all members, or I can select anybody in the group. I'm going to show you one more piece of this, which is equally important, but unfortunately, I'm blocked by our infrastructure from actually uploading a folder. I only get so far, and then the DOH firewalls kind of stop me. But basically, if I want to upload a whole folder, if you have 30 files in a folder for whatever reason, you don't want to drag and drop 30 files. It's not that hard in Windows, but still, it's a little cumbersome. You can upload the entire folder, and it will upload everything within the folder. In most environments, that Java piece would have went away by now after going through these different approvals, and you'd already be in the window where it says select a folder. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you'll at least see that, or not. This is one of those things that maybe we go on trust, but basically what would happen is on the left side it would say select folder, and you would point to it just like any other Windows convention, and click OK, and it will upload the folder and all those 30 documents. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to move things around, because I think that's a pretty neat feature, although it does have a little cumbersome aspect to it. Actually, first, I started to talk about this, sorry. For this particular document, I want to limit who sees this. So I'm going to click on Edit Permissions, and pray that something happens, which it's not. Okay, again, so, oh, here we go, okay. Oh, all right. I forgot, I can't. So what you see here at the top where it says no access and not visible, read-only, or inherited, if there was a list of names there, I can go through each name and I can say that person X has no access to the document whatsoever and can't see it. Let's say it's sensitive data or a document that you just don't want them to see. They will not be able to see it. If you want them to be able to read it only, you can select which individuals can read it only. Inherited means they inherit their default user permission. So if they're a workspace owner, they can edit the document, they can upload it, download it, file a new version, whatever. Same thing with a contributor. So that's a pretty powerful thing, okay? And that's why it's important to know who should be workspace owners and workspace contributors as you set up a room, because you really can kind of limit access to information if need be. For instance, in the international program we had one room within Glasscubes, and then there were sub-rooms for different countries, and we made sure that no country can see the other country's data. It was a thing that people had, and it was something that they found very useful. That pretty much, in a nutshell, is Glasscubes. It's got its pluses and minuses. I think the calendar feature doesn't really thrill me. The tasks, I think they've done a really good job of designing something that's very heavy-duty project management. And the files are, the file area has some really nifty features in it. And I think that's, again, probably 95% of the usage that it gets, along with the fact that, when somebody uploads a file, folks will be notified rather. So that is Glasscubes in a nutshell.
Thanks, Kevin.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I posted a quick question in the chat room. I was wondering if this would be a good platform for people working with electronic health records.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it doesn't link to it, which is kind of a drawback in this day and age. But I think it's really project oriented, and I think basically what you'd want to do is take data or some information out of your EHR, and then if you're building a project around that, then this would be where I would put it. So yes, you know, you could use it when you have any kind of data source. But again, it doesn't really link to anything. Does anybody else have any questions?
None?
Okay.
Okay. Well, we could turn it over.
Thanks, Judy, and thanks, everybody.
Thank you. We can turn it over to Nicole at this point, who will be showing us a little demo on Zoho and Basecamp.
All right, I just requested control. All right, now.
I just stopped sharing. There you go.
So I have, just while we're waiting for that to load, I just also posted another question for the group. So let us know what project management tools you all are using at your programs, if you are using them. And hopefully we'd like to, at the end, we'd like to hear a little bit about how you're using them and how you feel about them, if you would like to share, just so we have some comparisons.
Okay, so is this, can people see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I have a big monitor, so sometimes if I don't expand it, that's not very readable. So this is Zoho, and it's sort of similar to what Kevin was just describing. The features, it has a calendar, it has tasks that you can set up. You can set up different projects. So we use this in our internal group. We use it mostly for internal project management, not so much to collaborate with people outside our group, although we're using it with a contractor right now who uses it for with their clients. So, and then you can set up a bunch of different projects, and I'll go to my NCRC. So the default view when you've set up a project is to give you a feed of what's happened. I was in there yesterday kind of cleaning stuff out. So you can see there's a lot of me doing things. Then you can view all of the tasks in your project. And this shows you who owns it. If it's got a start and end date, you can add those. And again, this also, like what Kevin was describing, you can log time here. And if we, like if you're working in a consulting group or something and you're charging your client for, every 15 minutes, then you kind of need to use features like this. And the contractor we're working with does use them. We don't really use those so much. But from these views, so you can view, I'm viewing it in classic view. There's also a Kanban view which sorts your projects by their priority. And it is kind of a little, like a card view. And it has these Gantt chart abilities, which we don't really use so much, but you can set up your task if you've used Microsoft Project and use kind of the dependencies and milestones, you can simulate that in this pretty well. And I've done that for smaller projects, but this is kind of the way we use Zoho in our group is kind of a shared to-do list, so things don't get lost. So we just kind of we'll put a task here and assign it to someone just so it's there, and then we'll meet together to prioritize. And then we also use it for the bugs because we are a technology-focused group, and there's always lots of bugs to track. And so that was one reason why we started using Zoho, is for the bugs. It has a calendar feature, which we don't really use so much, but if we did use it, we'd use it to track milestones. And then there's document sharing features, as Kevin described. So you can set up folders, you can have favorites, different kinds of documents. You can sync it with your Dropbox folder if you have that. At my university, we have access to a Dropbox-like feature called Box, and that's what we use when we need to upload files and share them. And then there are forums for having discussions, and I kind of use this sometimes to document things. And then here's how you add people, administer people in your group. And again, it's easy to add people if you want to add more. So my feeling is, so Zoho also gives you, as a project manager, lots of data, and you can filter. I could, like if I want to see how Mary, who's our production manager, what her bandwidth is like on this project, I can look and see, okay, Mary's working on all of these things. I can filter, use this little filter function pretty easily. And then you can export it to Excel if you want to. The issue for me with Zoho and in general is that we have so many projects that that things kind of get lost for me. Zoho, and I'm going to show you Basecamp too. Both of these allow you to set up, let's see, to determine, let's see, where's the setting? You can determine when you get notified, and if you get, when you get email messages, I forget where. Anyway, it's kind of overwhelming if you're on a lot of projects. And since I'm the director here, I'm on a lot of projects. And so in my Outlook, I have a folder that just all of my Zoho things go to because I really can't keep up with as many notifications as I get. So kind of managing that part. And so people now know, since we use this internally, people will come tell me, oh, I put an update in Zoho for you. Or they'll send me an email saying, check Zoho, and I figured out this bug. So Zoho does not replace other forms of communication. And the good thing is you can kind of go back and see the thread and see what happened on something. But sometimes it can be hard to find things in Zoho since we use it for so many different projects. So that's kind of my pros and cons. I still like the bug. Yeah?
Can you turn off the notifications, the automated notifications? Or
yeah, you can, but then, oh, here it is. You could actually, there are browser plugins for Zoho that, do I have it set up here? Let's see. There are browser plugins where you can actually just click on it and see the latest feed of what's been going on. And I do use that sometimes, although I appear to have undone that plugin. I use a lot of plugins. But it's good to, you can adjust it. I haven't found the sweet spot for notifications, to be honest. So, and so we meet every other week to kind of go through our, well, we do quarterly prioritizing here, and then we meet every other week to kind of check in on things and and make sure there aren't any orphan tasks. And so if you want to add a task, you can add tasks or task lists, and you can add a description. And then you can assign it to someone just by selecting who the available people are. I'm going to assign it to Judy. Uh-oh, it's an oh. Yeah, I usually don't assign things to Judy. All right, I'll assign it to Mark. And then you can set, you kind of, within your group of people using it, you decide what medium priority means. You kind of have to figure all of these out and what you're going to use, what you're not going to use. And you can have yourself be reminded. So it's pretty smooth. It comes with an app, which is nice. It costs I think we pay something like $1,500 a year for it. And that includes, it has a bunch of things you can add on. Zoho is a huge operation. And the bugs, I think, our bug reporting ability costs extra. So we pay an extra few hundred a year for that plug-in. And because we don't love it, we're kind of thinking about, we're looking around for other options. But at this point, we have a couple years worth of stuff in there. So we have some skin in the game. But I want to show you another one and we mainly use this because it's actually pretty customizable. You can really make any one of the task templates, bug templates. You can change what fields are there to only make, to things that make sense for your group. But again, that would take a lot of time to do. We've never, we don't have a lot of extra time, so we haven't done a lot of that customization. But it's pretty feature-rich, and as a manager, it's kind of nice to be able to go through and filter and see what is assigned to people and what's, if something's kind of stagnated, kind of figure out why. So,
Nicolette, there's a question in the chat room about the calendar, Zoho's calendar. Does it integrate or sync with Outlook? Have you found?
I don't use it for tasks so much. I mean, I don't think we use it. Let's see, but I feel like I saw somewhere where somebody was, oh yeah, this was annoying. Gowrie kept putting her vacations in there. Nobody else wanted to see that. So we pretty much use Outlook. I think if I use this, I would be using it for project management in the sense that I would have milestones set up and due dates for different tasks, rather than, that's how I would use it. But I haven't. Any other? I can't see the question, so
yeah, no,
feel free to see them. So we also use, so we, on top of this, we definitely use email and email each other things. So it's not a, it's not a replacement for that. And people, I think how different people use it. So sometimes if there's someone I know doesn't check it all the time, I'll go tell them I put in something for you in Zoho, so they'll go look. Most people aren't following as many projects as I am, so it's a little more manageable for them. So I'm going to show you Basecamp too, because I know that's something that the Pacific AETC uses, and I've used it on projects with other people. When we had that virtual conference with the Federal Training Center Collaborative a couple years ago, they used Basecamp, and Pacific's using kind of the old version of Basecamp, but this newer version is a little, is kind of neat. And so here you set up, you have your organization information, then you can have teams, and then you have projects. And I just set this up yesterday. I left this, they have some templates. And Basecamp is super simple and intuitive. And I think for small, for a collaborative group, it would be kind of perfect. For if you have a ton of different groups and things, I don't know how that would be if you needed to be involved in all of them. But the different features or things it has to do, it has a campfire, which is like chat. So yesterday I was spamming Mark and Judy when I was setting this up, and they found that one of the downsides of Basecamp is it sends you multiple notifications. So Judy called me and said, "Why do I have 12 emails from Basecamp, Nicole?" So again, you can turn off notifications, but it's kind of nice to. So this is like chat, the campfire. The message board is kind of like email, I guess, because the messages can be a little more robust. You can edit them. You can add pictures. The to-dos is the task list, and that's kind of nice. Then you can have a schedule. You can set deadlines for the group, and you can set up an automatic check-in, to kind of motivate people. And so this is, so Mark and Judy, beware. The first Monday of the month, you're going to get an email. And then you can also share files here, and you can do a file that's native to Basecamp. You can upload files. You can link to Google Docs. You can set up folders, similar to how Kevin was showing. So this is all, as far as version control, I haven't played with that. Is anybody here a Basecamp user who knows if there's version control? Oh, so Matt.
I believe Matt said was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Matthew,
cool.
Matt, you want to tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, Matt, why don't you hop in?
I want to put you on the spot, but if you have some, are you on the line? Maybe not.
Maybe not. So Basecamp,
Might be on mute.
Is between $50 to $100 a month. And you can set up lots of teams, and it's something that's in active development. So they keep, new versions come out, and that's actually one thing when you're looking at project management software. You don't want something that's, going to disappear. Oh, Matt's only on the computer. There's this Hey feature, which is, I guess, lets you look at alerts. And then you can ping someone, and that'll send them an email with just a quick note, and that's kind of neat. So if you're on a collaborative team, I think I kind of like Basecamp for smaller things. And I think when we were doing our kind of analysis of things, I think it didn't have some features that we wanted, but it's added new things. I noticed you can customize their templates too, and so we might be able to set up a bug reporting system that works for us in this. So that was kind of one of the things we really needed. But I want to show you one more thing, if we have just a minute. This is something called Slack, and it's like a chat board that you can set up. It's free, and you can set up different channels for projects and people. So if we have a team who's actively working on something in a day and they need to, instead of sending emails back and forth, they will they'll go to Slack and kind of work together there. And that's one way as a manager, kind of, I'll check that a couple times a day and kind of see where they are. And, sometimes there's something in there I need to respond to. But our our university uses it. It's free, but it's kind of like a chat thing. Yeah, Judy, I think Basecamp is less intimidating than Zoho. Zoho, like our non-technical staff, because we have technical staff and non-technical staff. The non-technical staff kind of hate Zoho. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And the tech people just they'll get used to anything. But I think that you can customize this and add your logo and kind of make it look more friendly. And when we were working on that FTCC conference, I liked it. I thought we needed some more conventions in our group about setting up folders, I think, for shared files, because the shared files got kind of overwhelming. But I think that's definitely doable.
Can you tell us a little bit about how much this costs, or did you already touch on that?
Oh, the Basecamp, if your nonprofit rate, I think you get 20% off or something. So it's somewhere between $50 and $100 a month, but you may get a discount if you pay for a whole year. And Prescott, do you know how much you guys pay for yours? I don't know if you're still on. Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's not that much, to be honest, in the scheme of things. Now that we no longer buy office supplies.
Kevin, are you still on the line?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the cost for Glasscubes?
I can. It's last year we paid £1,800. I think at that time it probably translated to about $2,300, although they did give us a 10% discount off of that, and we did get not-for-profit pricing because we buy it through our fiscal agent. We pay, we pay for the year up front, so that saves us a little bit of money too. But that's typically what you're looking at depending upon the exchange rate. The £1,800 hasn't gone up for a couple of years. It's just the exchange rate that fluctuates.
Right.
Very international.
Yeah.
Zoho, I think, has a nonprofit rate too.
Many of them do, actually.
But yours looked, the thing I liked about Glasscubes is it looked like it was, like you could have a lot of different projects there.
You can, yeah. We have about 100 now.
So I kind of thought like the NCRC might want to use something like Basecamp for the work groups that we did, because it was cheap. It's cheap enough that but I don't know if the work groups are working on products as much as they used to.
So Matt has a question. Is there a project management methodology that you use, and do certain methodologies complement certain products? I guess the question for either of you.
Well, I know Matt has a degree in project management or in management, so you could probably speak to it better. But I think I was thinking about this beforehand, and we use a lot of different tools for project management, and also these are kind of collaboration tools. Or I think that the request was for things that groups could use who are working on projects together. I still use Excel, for personally for a lot of my project management, and for file sharing and things, it kind of depends on, I use things like Box a lot, and on the Target Center site, we have an internal request system built onto the site where people, post requests for us to use, and we use that there's a plug-in to our content management system that lets us, kind of track those things. So I probably have 6 different approaches depending on what I'm managing and using. I still use Outlook a lot for things like this too. So, Matt, I know you're only on the computer, so you can't really speak to that, but if you have something, an approach that you use or would recommend, I think a lot of it depends on what you're doing, but I think if the challenge for distributed groups is, something that's, that has enough kind of push notification capability that people don't lose track of the project, because you can't drop by their office, but doesn't overwhelm people. And then, file sharing, discussions, those are kind of the core features that you want. So I think, for us, we might kind of mix and just find something that was only a bug tracking software and use that for our bugs, and then use something else for project management. With Zoho, we were kind of looking for a one-stop shop, but I think the complexity of some of it is not working for some of the people who most need to do the project management or non-technical stuff. So
it doesn't replace anything, it just enhances. You can't, it's not a one or, one and.
Yeah, and everybody has their own little internal system that they use, whether it's a piece of paper with check boxes.
Kevin, do you have a methodology that you want to share, or?
Yeah, it's funny because it depends on the project that we're working on. When we were doing the development of our face-to-face trainings, it was a little more milestone-driven, obviously. So at the time, I used Excel because I didn't like the way ProjectSpace did it. We developed the training. We haven't developed the training after we switched over to Glasscubes, unfortunately. But I think I would use the task portion of Glasscubes so that everybody could understand the flow of the project. Sometimes when we do projects, though, especially around computer things, which I'm heavily involved with, it's kind of like herding cats because, different people have their own way of doing things, and sometimes we have a really bad tendency to do things on the fly in terms of telling the designer, oh, you should do this, how come you didn't think of this? And it's like throwing a hand grenade at the entire project. So it's not really a philosophy, it's a mess sometimes, but again, normally I would use something, and if I didn't have Glasscubes to use, I would do as Nicole did, and I would use Excel.
Mm-hmm. So there was someone on the call who said they use another program that Asana. Asana?
Oh yeah, I've been getting ads for them.
Are you on, Clint? Are you on the line?
Oh, he's on the computer too.
Okay.
Is Asana kind of more like Basecamp type level, or? I got the feeling it was very, it had a really nice interface. There's one called Trello too, which is sort of like just a task list. It doesn't really rise to the level of, collaboration and group work.
Yeah.
Clint says, yes, elegant and very mobile friendly.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Are the other programs?
Basecamp has apps too. Zoho has apps. Basecamp has apps.
Kevin, is Glasscubes mobile friendly?
Well, yes and no. It doesn't seem to have too many problems with it, okay? So that's a good thing. Is it the easiest thing to use on a mobile device? No. I would seriously say not to use it on a smartphone. Tablet's okay, depending upon the size of the tablet. So will it work? Yes. Is it elegant? Not so much.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was built for mobile.
Yeah. It's not. It's not specific built for mobile, no.
Whereas you could tell that this one is, you know, whenever you see the cards and things like that, that's all.
Yeah.
That's a mobile design.
So Clint is typing in. He says file storage integrates with cloud services. Also, no calendar support yet, but it's approachable for non-tech people because it just feels like creating tasks in Outlook with assignments.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think even for some people, the cloud service stuff is still a barrier. I don't know why, but some people. I guess it depends on your.
Well, I think, yeah, just the idea of it alone, and I mean, from a personal standpoint, I just don't like putting anything out there that's not on a drive that I have direct control over. Just because of all the stories you hear nowadays about this one's hacking this, and
Right.
you know, credit card companies get hacked and everything nowadays. So I've always been paranoid about stuff like that.
I've given up that fight. My office is on a VA facility, so I had to go through federal clearance, and I was one of the people who got hacked.
Oh, wow.
So.
Oh, that's awful.
I know. Oh, yeah. So, Matt, that's what I mostly hear people use Trello for personal task lists. It's nice for that. So one thing, I don't know if this comes into play for anyone here. Our university recently it has a new feature in its kind of box-like abilities, and it does have a HIPAA-compliant storage ability now that it didn't used to. So that's, if you're ever working on a project that has patient information or secure information, you just need to make sure that you're using a service that meets those standards.
So we're about.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't actually work on any of those, so. Oh. I hate SharePoint. I'll just say that.
I second that. We use it in DOH, and it is, I don't like it at all.
Let's see. Clint says apparently our integration with Fox is compliant. Yeah.
Someone wants to know why.
Yeah, you go first.
I don't know. I feel like I'm back in the 90s when I use SharePoint, to be honest.
Yeah, kind of. It's okay.
Kevin and I were sharing before the call that we've been doing technology for a long time at this point.
I don't like it either.
It's a big, complex piece of software.
It is, and it's sometimes hard to set things up, and it's kind of limited in its user interface, and I don't know. I just, there's a couple of programs within DOH, not the least of which is our Lean office that uses SharePoint, and they could do better.
Yeah, the VA uses it for stuff, and it's mostly just crappy little systems that, the content gets lost.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
We're just about 1 minute to the hour. Nicole, I've requested control. I just want to move through the last few slides.
How do I do that?
Well,
stop sharing. All right.
Yep. Stop sharing.
Oops, I don't want my screen.
Well, if other people have things they use, I'm always looking for this software to supersede all other softwares.
So
none of them create time.
No, that would be nice. I just want to move through the last couple of slides. I've posted the pros and the cons of the software programs that were discussed today on these slides. They're also in these notes pods to the right over here. So you'll be able to look through them. If you want to review the slides, they'll be on our website. So you can get an idea of what works and what doesn't work, at least as have been experienced by our presenters. I think we've gone through several questions. If there's any more questions, feel free to just throw those out right at this moment, this last few seconds. Just to update you on what's happening for our next ELearn call, we are tentatively scheduled for February. Our proposed idea is, Nicole, get ready, RSS feeds and JSON feeds. Is there any last minute questions, concerns, thoughts? Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you to Nicole. Nicole is already running off. And Kevin, thanks so much for presenting today. Again, this will be recorded and posted to our website along with the slides and the transcript, so feel free to revisit when you have the time. And thanks everyone for being here. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.